Think about your typical day. You wake up in a climate-controlled room, you press a button for coffee, you scroll through an endless feed of entertainment while waiting for a meal that someone else cooked to be delivered to your doorstep. On the surface, it's a dream. It's the peak of human civilization. We have successfully conquered the ancient enemies of our species: cold, hunger, and physical toil. But there is a dark side to this utopia. In the grand timeline of human evolution, this era of extreme convenience is nothing more than a split second. For hundreds of thousands of years, the human brain was forged in the fires of scarcity, physical danger, and social interdependence. We were built for friction. Today, we live in a world designed to eliminate that friction entirely. Yet, this frictionless existence is birthing a new breed of psychological distress. When we optimize the struggle out of life, we inadvertently optimize the meaning out of it too. Today, we're going to look at the creepy psychological effects of living too comfortably. 1. The atrophy of the waiting muscle. The most immediate casualty of the digital age is our capacity for delayed gratification. Our ancestors operated on a harvest cycle. They worked for months before seeing a single grain. We, however, operate on a refresh cycle. When we can summon food, a movie, or even a romantic date with a simple thumb twitch, our dopamine thresholds undergo a radical shift. Psychologically, this is devastating. We have effectively de-evolved our waiting muscles. Think of it as psychological atrophy. When you are finally faced with the inevitable delays of real life, like building a business, learning an instrument, or nurturing a deep relationship, your brain no longer perceives these as natural processes. Instead, it views them as personal insults. This instant gratification itch creates a state of permanent, low-level anxiety. We've become prisoners of the next 5 seconds. In many ways, modern adults have become like toddlers with credit cards, highly connected, yet fundamentally incapable of handling a moment of boredom or a week of hard work without a reward. 2. The dehumanization of connection. Convenience hasn't just changed how we eat, it's changed how we love. It has transformed the human heart into a user interface problem. In the past, social interaction required risk. You had to walk up to someone, speak, and risk immediate public rejection. Today, dating apps have turned humans into a digital meat market. Because the next option is always just one swipe away, we have lost the ability to handle even the slightest interpersonal friction. The moment a partner shows a minor human flaw, maybe they chew too loudly or have a different opinion on something trivial, our comfort-addicted brains scream, "Next." We aren't looking for love anymore, we're looking for a person who fits into our lives as seamlessly as a new piece of tech. By removing the struggle from romance, we've made it impossible to bond with anyone who isn't a literal mirror of ourselves. This is why, in a world of total connectivity, we are experiencing a plague of crowded loneliness. 3. Biological snowflake syndrome. We have achieved what our ancestors could only dream of: thermal monotony. Most of us spend 99% of our lives in a climate-controlled box set to a perfect 72 degrees. But there's a cost. This constant comfort has turned our internal metabolic heaters into mush. We have become what psychologists call biological snowflakes. Because we never experienced the shock of cold or the weight of true heat, our nervous systems have lost their resilience. Have you noticed how people react now? A 2-degree shift in office temperature or a slightly humid day is perceived as a personal betrayal by the atmosphere. We have traded our biological grit for a fragile sensitivity that makes the outside world feel like a hostile alien planet. We are losing the ruggedness that once defined our species. 4. The social battery corrosion. The modern world is so convenient that you can now survive for years without ever looking another human being in the eye. Between delivery apps, self-checkout, and remote work, we have created an indoor gym for social anxiety. Social skills are like muscles. If you don't use them, they waste away. When we avoid the messiness of human interaction, a simple conversation starts to feel like a high-stakes interrogation. We tell ourselves we're recharging our social batteries by staying home, but the truth is, we're letting them corrode. We are becoming a society of individuals trapped in rooms with our own thoughts, and for many, those thoughts have become terrible, ruminative roommates because they are never challenged by the perspective of others. 5. The progress paradox and the amygdala. One of the most profound glitches in our modern brain is the parasite of convenience. You see, our brains are hardwired to look for threats. It's a survival mechanism. But in the absence of actual wolves or the threat of starvation, the amygdala, the brain's panic button, doesn't just go on vacation, it stays on the clock, looking for work. This is why a seen message with no reply can trigger a full-blown fight-or-flight response. We have optimized the major struggles out of life, so our survival instincts are now being used to wage psychological war against minor inconveniences. To your brain, a slow-loading video feels like a famine. A rude comment on social media feels like a tribal exile. We aren't more peaceful, we've just become hypersensitive to things that don't actually matter. 6. Hedonic adaptation, the luxury trap. The luxury trap explains why more stuff never equals more happiness. Through a process called hedonic adaptation, your dream life becomes your boring Tuesday in about 6 months. As we remove every minor inconvenience, our comfort zone shrinks to the size of a postage stamp. When luxury becomes the baseline, joy disappears. If the heated seats in your car take 30 seconds too long to warm up, you feel like a victim. We have won the game of comfort, but the prize is being perpetually underwhelmed. Our dopamine receptors have become cynical. They don't fire for the miracles of modern engineering anymore. They only fire for more. 7. The loss of the "I made this" high. Humans are biologically wired to be problem solvers. There is a specific neurochemical reward, a sense of pride and agency that comes from fixing a leaky faucet or building a fire. But in a world of total convenience, we don't fix, we replace. We don't build, we click buy now. This leads to a state called learned helplessness. When we outsource our survival to apps and services, we lose our sense of agency. We begin to feel like ghosts haunting our own lives, having no physical impact on the world around us. We are like golden retrievers fed top-tier steak, but denied the chance to ever chase a ball. Our dopamine system is screaming for a challenge, but we just keep giving it another soft pillow. 9. Chronophobia, the beige smear of time. In a life of extreme comfort, time becomes a vast, terrifying desert. Without the peaks of struggle or the valleys of hard work, our days bleed together into what I call the beige smear of content consumption. Our brains perceive the passage of time based on new, intense, and varied memories. But when you sit in the same ergonomic chair in the same temperature, looking at the same screen every day, your mind stops recording. You look up and realize 3 years have passed, and your only major milestone was finishing a series on Netflix. We have traded the intensity of a real life for the safety of a slow-motion existential crisis. You aren't living, you're just buffering. 8. Sensory deprivation and internal noise. We evolved for a world of textures, smells, and the occasional sharp rock underfoot. Our modern sanitized bubble creates sensory homeostasis. When the outside world provides no stimulation, the brain begins to hallucinate its own. This is why we've become hyper-aware of our own biology. Every minor heartbeat or ringing in the ears feels like a terminal illness. We have removed the noise of nature, so now the internal noise of our own anxiety is deafening. We've become so addicted to background noise that we can't even sleep without a machine mimicking the sound of rain. True silence feels like an emergency because we've forgotten how to be alone with ourselves. 10. The death of the peak experience. Perhaps the ultimate tragedy is the flattening of the human experience. Joy is a relative metric. You cannot truly appreciate the warmth of a fire unless you have shivered in the rain. You cannot appreciate the feast if you have never known hunger. By eliminating the lows, we have accidentally decapitated the highs. This is anhedonia via overindulgence. When your favorite meal can be delivered to your bed in 20 minutes, it stops being a celebration. We are living in a world of constant mild pleasure, which is psychologically equivalent to constant mild nothingness. We are safe, we are fed, and we are deeply, cosmically bored. The psychological effects of living too comfortably serve as a stark warning. We have built a masterpiece of comfort, yet we feel like we are falling asleep standing up. Our biology craves the very things our modern world seeks to destroy: friction, effort, and occasional discomfort. So, how do we fix it? We may need to intentionally reintroduce voluntary hardship into our lives. Whether it's taking a cold shower, lifting heavy weights, learning a difficult new skill, or simply putting down the phone and sitting in the silence. We have to break out of the gilded cage of comfort to remember what it feels like to be truly, vibrantly alive. Because in the end, the best part of the movie isn't the credits, it's the struggle that happens before they roll.